Brother Mohamad Sawwaf, Ousama Al-Shurafa, thank you so much for joining the Ansari podcast. We got Brother Mohamad Sawwaf, who is the founder and CEO of Manzil. And at some point, Osama, you were actually the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer for Manzil. So how are you building that? Are you trying to create your own uh, business system, like financial system outside of the current Western financial system at Manzil?
That's absolutely it. I've told people that we're creating a system outside of the system. We are not dependent on the current conventional banking system that is in place in the West. And there are a lot of, let's call it, community members that have even mentioned that to us. Like, how can you create a halal banking system within a riba based system? And we're like, we're not doing it within it, we're doing it outside of it. And so showing them the way, or that it is possible, right? And I look at it as parallel streams, right? You can have conventional system, moving in its own direction, and you can actually you can mimic, right? And you can create products that are labeled the same, whether it's a mortgage, a residential mortgage product, a commercial mortgage product, an auto financing product, a student financing product, and you can have them parallel to each other. However, there is a wall between them, and they have their own systems and they work their own way.
When I was a CMO at Manzil, I realized something, that most Muslims aren't just looking to be rich or get rich. They're looking to be right with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in how they earn, spend, and invest, which has to do with their intention. And when you nail the intention, Allah begins to open doors you never would imagine were possible, subhanAllah. I mean, we've been taught to navigate a financial system that was never built for us in the first place. So for us, so the goal isn't to fit in because it's not built for us, but the goal is to build our own. So that's what halal finance represents. It's like not a workaround, but a return to divine design. You understand what I mean? Like going back to Allah. So halal finance it's a spiritual awakening. It's not a business category.
When we think about the history of Islamic finance predates what we have today of conventional finance by over 1,000 years. So when we talk about when Islamic finance was created or established, it was during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1450 years ago. However, you fast forward to today, what is the prevalent banking system that we have globally? It is the conventional one. And that's only been established.
You mean the Western one?
The Western one. Yeah. 300-400 years. And okay, let's compare the growth. Let's compare the dollars, right? The dollars and cents, as they say. The conventional banking system holds $600 trillion in assets. It's valued at that. That equals debt and equity. Islamic banking is 6 trillion. So it's 1%. Yet it had 1,000-year head start. Think about that. And when you think about, let's look at the Muslim population and compare its relativeness. Well, we know that there are about 2 billion Muslims out of 8, so it's 25% of the world's population. Yet we only represent 1% of the actual assets or the banking assets that are Sharia compliant. And so I look at that as a major gap and a major opportunity. And there's education and awareness that needs to be created so that people who don't understand Islamic finance, once they understand it, and they can then apply it. And there are many people they can apply it with.
And that's what's going to bring barakah into their lives. I mean, but I can tell you as a da'i, barakah isn't a concept. It's a currency. So it's like some people, they have more money but less peace, right? Or some people they have less money but more peace. Some people have more money but less sakina. So what's the name of the game? How do you bring that barakah into the aspect? We have to understand that as Muslims, we are not dealing with banks. Right now, as Muslims, we're dealing with banks. But we have to learn that we're not dealing with banks, we're dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it all begins with, obviously intention, but then at some point you have to know, what pleases Allah and what doesn't. Let me ask you a question. A person opens a business, makes $1 million. He earns $1 million. The other opens a business and he loses $1 million. Who ran a more successful business, traditionally speaking? Like, if you ask anybody,
The one
the one that made $1 million, supposedly. But I always share this story, and I want to kind of open up with it, inshallah, just for the barakah, to kind of establish what halal finance really is, because I really believe it's a movement, back to divine design, like I said. I had that friend who had that car with a defect in it, and he came up to me and said, I'm a bit worried that I'm going to fix the defect, but if I tell the person, he might not buy it. So he had the option to disclose that there was a defect and risk losing the sale, or, hide it from the person and make more profit, right? So I told him, if you want a successful transaction, he said yes. So I said, begin with the defect, disclose it. So are you sure? I said yes. So we went up to him and he said, he came back and was very angry at me. He said, I thought you said you was going to have a successful transaction. I said, what happened? He said, when I disclosed the truth, he said, oh, Jazakallah khair for being honest. And he walked away. So I said, oh, subhanAllah, you had a successful transaction. And he looked at me like, what do you mean? And that brings me back to the question, who's more successful, the one that made $1 million or not? I told him, a believer is command-oriented, not results-oriented. Your job as far as business or trade is concerned is not to deceive or cheat or lie in that moment. If you do that, you are successful irrelevant of the outcome, because the believer is command-oriented. They're not what? They're not results-oriented. It's not that we don't care at all about the results. They're there, but they're completely out of our control. Whereas the choice to make, use your free will to make the right choice in the present moment that will please Allah, that's the name of the game. So now let's go back to the question. Who's the more successful one? The one who made $1 million or the one who lost $1 million?
It depends.
Thank you. The one who, irrelevant of whether he had a profit or loss, which is the outcome, he did what? He aligned himself with the commands of Allah associated to business and trade. So the key, if you don't even have a product that's halal at its foundation, it's like when you go to some Muslims and they're like, astaghfirullah, like say he's in a liquor store, and he's heard that work is ibadah. So he's like, oh, I'm worshipping Allah, I'm working, but you're selling alcohol. It doesn't work that way. It's like someone that عاقب إمه وبارب خالته. It's like someone who has birr al-walidain towards his aunt. He's like super kind to her, but he's cut ties with his mom. like the priority is what here? So when I met him, Muhammad, what's so exciting for me is like, wait a second. Here's an opportunity where we can go back to divine design, have a true movement as Muslims, where I don't have to worry about the product itself being halal or haram, and we can build our own financial system as Muslims. And by the way, I know you just met Muhammad, but out of respect, mashallah, he has a PhD, so Dr. Muhammad would be more appropriate. Rasulullah,
you didn't tell me.
He won't ask for it. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Anzilu nasa manazilahum." That, give people their due respect. The guy, believe me, that PhD wasn't easy.
I haven't heard you call him Dr. Muhammad once so far.
Well, but he's my brother. He's my brother. Oh, okay. Yeah, but on camera, that's, alhamdulillah ala kulli hal.
So is the 6 trillion in Islamic finance compared to the 600 trillion in Western finance, is that because we are command-oriented, so that's why we're behind? Or is that because regardless of command or not, we're just not achieving what we need to on the financial scale?
I would argue that part of that 600 comes from the Muslims. A lot of it, actually, right? I don't know how much. Maybe there is 100 trillion out of the 600 trillion. So how do we shift that 100 out of 600, for example, to the 6? And make the 6 106, for example.
How?
Right? Like, how many times have we run into people where their mortgages are not with Islamic banks, their investments are not with Islamic financial institutions, their checking savings accounts are not with Islamic banks?
But there's no such thing as an Islamic bank in modern times, is there?
There absolutely is. If you go to Malaysia, you can go to Pakistan, you can go to Indonesia, you can go to the Gulf.
And they would pay for your mortgage in America?
No. So if we're specifically talking about North America, there is no Islamic bank.
Okay.
Are there Islamic products? Yes. Are there Islamic services available? Yes. We would consider ourselves the only multi-product, multi-service offering. Okay, where we have not just mortgages, but investments and real estate services and wealth services and Islamic wills, right? So a multi-product offering, all available under one roof, like a one-stop shop.
So you guys give mortgage loans?
We do in Canada.
In Canada, okay.
Yeah.
Not
We recently expanded into the US under the Manzil Invest product or brand.
Is this that you're selling the mortgages at a premium, or is it you're selling the mortgages
under a murabaha or a cost plus model or a trade-based model, we are purchasing the home at a certain price and reselling it at a higher price.
Okay.
Right? And then so that difference is the profit.
That's halal?
That is absolutely halal.
Okay.
Right? So one of the main tenets in Islamic finance is whether there is an asset behind the transaction or not. So when we teach the community about how do you identify a Sharia compliant transaction versus a non-Sharia compliant transaction, look to see if there's an asset behind it. Not I've exchanged money with you, right? If I give you $100 and you give me $100 back, that's fully okay. This is a qard hasan, as we say. It's a gesture of goodwill. It's a social contract. But I can't give you $100 and say, give me $200 back. Why? Because there's no asset. Money has no value in Islam, right? And we can go into that. But if I were to take that $100 and say, hey, I bought this house for $100. You didn't have the $100. That's why you couldn't buy it. Like, you don't have the cash to pay for it in full. Do you want this for $200? And I'll give it to you in installments over 25 years. You might be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
I often get asked about how to build a business, and I found most people choose between two things. They either choose a slow, small, side income hustle idea that never really amounts to anything, or they hop on a trend or fad that ends up collapsing in a couple months. But how do you really build a business? And that's where I met the Ayubi Collective. Now, the Ayubi Collective was originally a private, closed group of 7, 8, 9-figure Muslim millionaires who built multi-million-dollar businesses. When I hopped on a call with these guys, I actually got emotional talking to them because they were giving me advice that I really needed in the stage of the business that I was in. They're now offering a mentorship program alongside their step-by-step training course where they show you the exact methods and tools they use to build their multi-million-dollar businesses. But here's the best part. They're offering Ansari listeners free 10-part masterclass, all for free. So if you're looking for something profitable, halal, scalable, and guidance along the way, then go to link.ayubi.com/Ansari. We're going to put it in our bio. link.ayubi.com/Ansari and get your free 10-part masterclass today. Join the Ayubi Collective and find your next business venture. So do you guys end up cheaper than if someone bought a home with interest?
We're not. And I'll tell you why. Okay? Because we don't take bank deposits as in checking accounts for free. Like 0%. Nobody's giving us their money for 0%. Instead, what we have our investors saying, I'm willing to give you money, but I need a return.
Mm-hmm.
And we say, okay, well, how much of a return do you want? Like, is 3% okay? So that maybe we can do 4%, murabaha-based mortgages. And they say, no, I can get 3% anywhere else. You're new, you're small, there's a risk premium involved here. Okay, what's your number? I think 5, it would be good, or 5.5. So if I have to pay somebody 5.5% in terms of an investment, what do I sell that mortgage to you? Let's say you came to Manzil, and I can't sell it at 4, right? It can't be below 5.5. I also have to make a little bit of money. So we say, okay, we'll give you the mortgage for 6.5, for example. And if we compare that to what's available, at least in the Canadian market, because we have a different mortgage model. We don't do 30-year fixed mortgages like you guys. We do 5-year renewables. And because it's shorter term, the pricing is less. So it's like 4% right now. So you compare a 4% mortgage to a 6 or a 6.5%. So then there is a cost there. However, that cost over time will go down over time. And why do I say that? Because in economics, there is what we like to call economies of scale. So as programs get larger and you attract more and more capital, we then end up with pricing power. I can go back to my investors and say, hey guys, no more 5.5% returns. Here's 4. And some might not like it, and some might not care, and some might be like, okay, fine. But because we have so much money, we could be like, we don't need all your money. And this is what we're gonna give you now, because now we have to be competitive within the market. And that only happens with more and more Muslim members investing in the mortgage fund to be able to support our program.
But I have an issue because, Muhammad, don't you think, like with that question that you asked, why do people ask that? Everyone's asking that question. Like, is it, isn't it more expensive than just like typical banks if you go through Islamic banks and that's a problem because you're putting money first. It's like your ibadah is conditional.
There's a price.
Yeah,
it's
conditional. It's like, so if it's cheaper, I'll obey Allah.
Yeah.
But if it's not cheaper, I'll obey my nafs. So that's conditional. Submission to Allah is unconditional. So that's the wrong question. Because that's making it just another like financial model in a business category. What we're talking about is what? Is starting a movement, a grassroots movement. So now Muslims should be coming, and we should be coming to, how much do you need in Canada? Like if I were to, would $1 trillion satisfy the entire market?
$250 billion would satisfy the entire market.
Are we able as Muslims to pull that money if we completely bought in? We have it?
With respect to Muslim purchasing power, yes.
Okay.
There is enough money to be able to do that.
So what's holding them back? Nafsi.
That question.
Me before the community and me before Allah. And Allah warns whoever follows his nafs. Why do you think it's more expensive? It's just like when they introduced halal meat. You always gave that example.
Yeah.
What did you say?
40 years ago, where was halal meat from a pricing perspective and a supply perspective? Low supply, lots of demand, meaning price is high. I only have so much to give, and I'm going to give it to the highest bidders. Over time, 40 years later, what do we have? We have same price and accessibility, meaning I can go to Costco and get halal chicken for the same price as non-halal chicken. I can get halal beef for the same price as not. But what was the difference? Our effort and our focus.
Subhanallah.
People decided that halal meat was important to me and my family, and I'm going to put in effort to make this industry grow and thrive. And people supported, early days, a higher cost. Right? They were price insensitive. And I will tell people in the future, Manzil mortgages wouldn't be available to you at whatever the price is if it were not for the people that said,
supported in the beginning.
My deen, right, comes first.
Trumps my nafs and my money. And this is a bigger problem, Muhammad. Like, we're so worried about the food industry. Yeah. With riba, Allah goes to what? لِأَكِلِ riba. Goes to what? War. It's the only sin in the Quran where Allah says, I'm going to war. Can you imagine entering the battlefield and your opponent is God? Like not the Incredible Hulk, no, God. Are you going to win? No. And then they come, why do I have so many problems in my life? You say, get your upload straight if you want the downloads to be in the right place. Because Allah says, تَصْعُدُ الْأَعْمَالُ وَتَتَنَزَّلُ الْأَحْوَالُ. When good deeds go up, good conditions come down. Bad deeds go up. I have so many people that come to me and they're like, I don't know what's wrong. I have all these problems in my life and this and that and that. And then, I'll ask them these questions. I'm trying to figure out, you pray, yes, everything. And I'm like, do you have a, interest-based loan from the bank? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, let's work on that one. Now, I wouldn't tell them like, sell it, get rid of it right away. There's a system, with du'at, because they might not have the iman, the level of iman to deal with what might happen if they decide to switch out the deal or get out of it, whatever. But usually it is put a plan in place and talk to Allah about getting out of it. Because I said,
have the niyyah.
Yes.
Start with the niyyah.
Because riba is when you make money from money. That's what I learned from. There's no asset to back up the transaction. When you go to a bank doesn't buy the house and then sell it to you. When Muhammad buys that, when Manzil purchases the home, now it's an asset owned by them, and now they can tap on any profit margin that they want. This is bay'ah. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ensures, like He wants to clarify the difference that between bay'ah and riba. What does He say in the Quran?
Wallahu halalul bay' wa haramul riba. But most importantly,
Please.
what does Allah...
That Allah made halal.
Yes, we have to translate.
Oh, yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made permissible trade and forbid usury. But this is part of the ayah. This is in Ayat al-Baqarah, Surah al-Baqarah, Ayat 275. Everyone misses what happens before that.
MashaAllah. No, go ahead. All you.
He says, and they will tell you trade and usury are the same.
Allah.
And every time I do a seminar in the masjid, there's always one person. I was in Ottawa. He said, "Oh, this is just a workaround."
Yes.
I said, this is exactly what Allah told us would happen. What that would be said 1400 years ago. It's in the Quran.
Subhanallah.
And so we have to remove ourselves from that thinking and saying, no, I am going to educate myself and understand the differences between riba and trade.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this, because I'm actually kind of nervous right now with it. So I do not make my credit card payments in full every month.
Oh my God.
Is this like
why is that? Is it because you don't have the money?
Yeah, man. I'm a spender too. Plus
so you're spending beyond your
why are you spending beyond your means?
Well, I do invest a lot into the podcast. I don't know, man. Every time I try to hold my wallet better, I actually end up spending more. And suddenly I'm going out for you got to come out with us to the restaurant. Oh, you got to go do this. Oh, you got to go do that. And we're in a culture where you got to pay, you got to do. So I end up spending a lot. Every time I try to save, I spend more. When I tried not to save, I spend less. It's a very strange phenomenon, and it might be because of the lack of barakah in my money.
Yeah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He gives us the formula for barakah. You want barakah or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want barakah. Yeah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَى آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So what are the two conditions? Iman and
Taqwa.
Those two. So your main concern is, how do I develop Iman and taqwa? What is taqwa? Listen very carefully. Taqwa is for God to find you where the real meaning of taqwa, if you take the root word, is about an armor, a protection. But ulama say, أَن يَجِدَكَ اللَّهُ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكَ وَيَفْقِدُكَ حَيْثُ نَهَاكَ. He always finds you where He's commanded you, and never finds you where He's forbade you. Okay? That's taqwa. Now He's found you where He's forbade you. Riba. Now you want barakah, but you have a problem with the equation. You have iman, but you don't have taqwa. So taqwa is in English كده عامية, very easy, نفهمها يا عزيزي. Do the do's and avoid the don'ts. You didn't expect that one. قلبنا مصري فجأة. We switched Egyptian. Egyptian. You know how that is. You get me?
Yeah.
So the thing is, the barakah mindset, you have $2. You spend $1. How much is left? One. That's the human formula. What's the divine formula? 2 minus 1 equals 11 plus barakah. Let's walk through the equation. 2 minus 1. You have $2. You spend a dish 1. Al-hasanatu bi ashri amthaliha. So now that 1 brought you back how many from Allah?
10 good deeds.
10.
If you spent it in the right way.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So if the barakah, how much comes back in, Ulna? You spent 1, so it brought you 10. How much was left? It was 2 plus minus 1.
Okay.
So what's left? 1 plus 10. So 2 minus 1 equals?
11.
11 in the barakah formula. Plus B. B represents barakah. This is actually in the Rizq framework, my course online. I have a course online called, this is a plug, guys. Straight up. The Rizq framework is a course I put online. Actually, Manzil, there's a whole section Like he doesn't even know. Like it was like I didn't even ask him. I just put Manzil in there. But like as part of like the option for halal wills and investments, and you still have the wills product,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Halal will.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about that. But anyways, in a nutshell, that's the system with Allah. That's the system of barakah. But what's the two conditions? Iman and taqwa. So very simply, you were engaging in riba. As long as you're engaging in that, as long as you don't fix that, that's your biggest problem in your life right now. That. And unless you address it, you will never have barakah, habibi. It's impossible. It's a divine formula. Look at what Allah says in the Quran. وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ. Man qudir, you know what qudir means? If your rizq is tight, let those whose rizq is tight spend. Yeah. What are you talking about? Like, I don't have money and you're telling me to spend? Yeah, have your yaqeen on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-hasana bi'ashri amthaliha. I'm not telling you give millions in charity, but you should have a practice where every day when you pray that fajr in the masjid, on your way out, don't they have those tap 10, 20, 50s? Every day, 10.
Why wait till Ramadan?
That's $300 of charity. Oof! That's like a lot of money. No. That's gonna, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna bring that back in other ways. And it's not always monetary. Yeah. He could keep away some harm that was gonna come your way. Right? So it's not just, rizq is not, in fact, let me, this is an important point. There's a difference between earning and rizq, kasb and rizq. Mm-hmm. So let's say you have $1 million in the bank. That's the bank's money as far as I'm concerned. That's not your rizq. When does it turn into rizq? When you take that money, convert it into something you eat. ما أكلت فأبليت or أفنيت وما لبست فأبليت. So whatever you take, I call them the 5 M's. مأكل مشرب منكح مركب and another one, it'll come to me. So basically eating, drinking, shelter, marriage, and transportation. Those are the 5. So when that money converts to those, that was your assigned rizq. Because if you die with $1 million in the bank, was that yours? You know, you'll be asked about it, but it didn't convert. That is what you earned, kasb. But when you convert it by actually utilizing it, and your rizq, nothing is going to change it. Allah says, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. Why? Why he says in the heavens is your rizq? Yani you have nothing to do with it.
It's out of your control.
It's out of your control. Actually, not completely true. وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Allah gives you the means for rizq. Taqwa and salah. If taqwa is in place and your 5 times salah is in place, watch what happens to your rizq.
So how do you create a halal financial lifestyle for an individual? Because when I'm sitting here listening to you guys right now, I'm getting nervous because
I got things to do.
Yeah,
I gotta make some changes here.
Yeah, I got credit cards, and some of them have interest on them and stuff like that. So,
subhanallah.
How do you? What do you do to
practically taking the steps?
Yeah.
So with credit cards, it's tricky. Dr. Muhammad can tell you more. I mean, technically, when you sign any contract, you know that you click and agree that, what are you signing to? That if you don't make the payment in full, what are they going to charge you? Interest. And you're saying, I agree. So actually, having a checking account is more, or dealing with banks in general, this is a dispensation given by the ulama, a rukhsa, because we live in non-Muslim lands. Would you like to expand on that a bit?
Yeah. Why do we have a checkings account? Why do we have a credit card?
I don't know, man. I'm like, yo, I can just keep this money.
I don't know.
No, but let's think about it practically, because there are reasons around it, right? Like, can you get a cell phone without a credit score?
Oh, yeah. It's the credit score system we have here. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can you rent a house? Without submitting your credit report to the landlord? Because they want to know if you have the ability to make your payments. So, now I need a credit report. Well, how do I build a credit report? I have to have a credit card. Because checking accounts doesn't build my credit report. Savings accounts doesn't build my credit report. But a credit card does. Now we have prepaid cards that have the ability to build credit. So maybe that's your switch. I don't want to sign a contract that says And I've heard this, how many times were this argument was like, but I always make my payment on time. I never have ever paid a cent in interest. But you signed a contract that said that if you miss, you will pay. What if you're in the hospital?
You're bound to miss a payment.
What if you're in the hospital and you don't have the ability, right, to make... I have to go into my banking account and make that payment.
That's why one hack is to always, like, before your statement to balance due date, to like create just a recurring thing, even if it's like just the minimum, and then you can go in and make a second payment before the deadline and complete it once you see the balance. If you don't want to, because you don't know what the total is, but like some payment, because if you don't make it on time, there's also that late fee.
Of course.
Is that halal?
No.
No.
They're profiting off of a situation, which they shouldn't.
So yeah, it makes no sense. Like, you can even pay over the minimum, and they still charge you interest.
Well, yeah, because the minimum, they're saying it won't affect your credit score. That's all it is. Pay the minimum, the $10. We won't touch your credit score. We won't report that you missed a payment. That's all it does. But the interest starts ticking, right? The clock started.
So do you think that when the credit card situation, when someone has credit card payments and they're only paying the minimum or even above the minimum, but they're still paying interest on their credit card payments?
No, I'll tell you what I did. And maybe you could follow. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So when I was working at Manzil, at one point we had a product called Coho.
Yeah, it was a partnership.
But right now you're on another level, right? You're working on your own.
We're working on our own fully Sharia compliant savings and checkings account.
And one thing I didn't like about using my debit card is usually most of us with our credit cards, we're collecting points and rewards. And then if you start, I don't want to use credit cards, don't want to risk it, so I'll just use a debit card. Maybe you can call it a little less haram, whatever you want to. But using your debit card, but you're not getting points. And all of a sudden we introduced this Coho thing. There was some partnership, basically a prepaid Visa or MasterCard.
You load it up.
And you can only use whatever's in there. Okay? But they did it in such a way where you're able to build your credit and everything. You can even have your direct deposit, salary, whatever, transferred to go directly into your Coho account instead of your, bank account.
So it's like a debit card, but with points.
Yeah.
And
but credit, but it has a Visa or MasterCard logo, so you're able to use it anywhere. Online, offline. Do what you got to do, because some of these prepaid cards won't work online, the regular ones, right?
Okay.
The ones we were used to in the past. So anyways, I got that, but I also need a regular credit card. I mean, there's certain times where you just need it, but I don't need 20 credit cards, right? Yeah. Like for me, I have my American Express, right? Which is paid every month at the end of the month, whatever the payment is. And if I know that I'm, approaching the end of the month, alhamdulillah, Allah's been very generous with me, but whatever I have to pay off at the end of the month, I pay it off in full, period, right? And then there's the Coho card for the, typical transactions, or if I'm traveling or whatever it is. So I keep it to pretty much 2 cards, right? And then from there, you work your way up in terms of I don't own a home, personally, because I never was at a point where I could afford paying the down payment. That might be different soon, inshallah ta'ala, but at the time I couldn't afford it. So I'm like...
And is that because you pay your credit cards in full?
Whatever the reason is. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa al-Razzaq. I never... For some reason, for me, man, I was never a saver. Like most of my life, like whatever comes in, I was always very giving or sadaqat. I never thought of these things. I don't know. It's just tabi'ati. My wife, blames me all the time. He says you need to timsik idak shwaya, hold off, not spend as much. But so you start shway. I don't have a haram home. I have halal investments. We can talk about that down the line. And I have basically what I need to function and operate in a non-Muslim land. That's it. This is the basics.
Provision Capital is a Sharia-compliant real estate firm built on trust, scale, and purpose, with investments in residential real estate all across the United States, and their focus is ethical investing. Provision Capital has a historical annual track record for the past 10 to 15 years. Visit provisioncapital.com and join over 400 investors nationwide to begin ethically investing your money today. Invest in Provision Capital today and invest in an ethical future. I personally know the founders of humanity. We've actually had one of them on the podcast. And what makes humanity different is that they believe that this ummah is meant to carry each other, to build one another up. They don't focus on problems, but solutions. From solar-powered water systems, to direct zakat funds delivered to those who need it, to orphans given a chance to learn, grow, and live. Humanity is not your average nonprofit. They've removed the red tape. They've completely reimagined nonprofit organization. They've completely reimagined charity from the ground up with transparency, trust, and ihsan. Humanity is a registered US and Canadian charity with a 100% zakat fund policy. They work with trusted organizations like UN agencies to make sure that your charity goes into the right hands. But more than that, they're a movement, a global wave of believers who see suffering and say, I can do something about this. So if you believe in change, if you believe in this ummah, if you believe in humanity, this is your moment. Go to wearehumanity.org and give today and make your mark. So yesterday when we were talking, you guys spoke about the priority of spending. And I believe you guys were saying that there is actually an Islamic prioritization of spending. So what is the priority of spending?
The first is لِإِعْلَاءِ كَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ, to spread the deen of Allah. And look, we're all guilty. We're not saying, by the way, that we're doing this.
No, right? Bro.
We're all, we're human too. We're working on ourselves too, right? So number one, لِإِعْلَاءِ كَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ, to spread the deen of Allah. Most of us like, really? Like, yeah, that's why Allah sent you. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You were brought out of your mother's womb. To do what? تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You enjoin good, forbid evil, and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
The first was spending in
okay. Number one. Number two is what? What do you think?
Your family. Yourself.
Okay. Do you have ibadat that you need to fulfill?
Yeah.
Zakah, right?
Okay.
Hajj, right?
Yeah.
When you get the opportunity, all these things. So the commands of Allah, fulfilling what Allah asked from you. Number three, your family's needs. Beginning inside, working your way out. في مثل عربي, we have a saying, اللي بيحتاج البيت بيحرم على المسجد. So just a saying, like whatever is the house needs, if you spend that money in the masjid, it's haram. Like your house is a priority. Al-aqrabuna awla bil-ma'ruf. Those close to you have a precedence for you to be good to them.
Even above the orphan and the needy.
Absolutely.
Your family.
Every penny you spend on your spouse is a sadaqah that you get rewarded for. So remember that. Make the intention when you're spending that you're caring for your wife, taking care of your ra'i, you're responsible. Number three, the poor and the needy. Number four,
Number four, the poor and the needy.
Poor and needy. Number five, your needs.
So these are last.
Are last. And notice I didn't say desires.
Yeah.
Because the problem is when you start with your desires, nothing is left for the commands of Allah. You know what I mean? Like you start, I want to buy this. Oh my God, the newest iPhone. Look, I'm guilty, man. I have the 17 Pro. I already got, maybe because it's in my line of work. But we're all like, I want it. The latest thing. If you can't afford it, start like, no. I can't afford it. No, I can get it on credit. No, you can't. And you don't need it until you can afford it. That requires discipline of the nafs.
Yeah.
A lot. Especially because everything is telling you to be a consumer. Because they want you self-consumed. So that you're distracted from the dhikr of Allah. The obedience of Allah. And you can't even keep up because you've bought so many, you fulfilled your desires, you've got all these payments, and now, Habibti, you gotta work too. So now your wife is working, so now who's taking care of the children, the school? Or maybe the maid, or I don't know, but you're not the one raising them. And all of a sudden the new generation kharban is broken because you're too busy fulfilling your desires. And you're out of the house and you're bearing, your child doesn't want toys from you. Your child wants your time. Your child doesn't want you to buy him a toy. He wants you to play with him. But you don't have any time because you haven't understood your priorities. So, في إشي في الدين اسمه فقه الأولويات. There's something in religion called the fiqh, the jurisprudence of priorities. And it's a must. I just discovered that book, by the way, when I was with Sheikh Ahmed Salim in Atlanta. There was a book. He's like, it's a gem. He's like, I
I wanna
found
read
it,
that book.
tradition.
Yeah.
It's rights.
Fiqh al-awliya.
Basic, no, yeah, fiqh and the rights. So these are all your spouse's rights.
Oh, wow.
I think 70 something.
So one thing that I think you mentioned to me yesterday that I thought was interesting is creating a circular financial Islamic finance system.
I think I would have said circular is Islamic financial economy. Circular Islamic financial economy.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
So let's think about our mindset when it comes to our money, right? We earn money, and then we have to do something with it. We have to spend it, right? That we have needs, and inshallah, we have less desires or zero desires, right? We don't want to direct our money towards things that build the nafs. We want to be able to tame it, and the question then becomes: is where does that money go? Does it go to our community first, or does it go outside of that community? Mm-hmm. And there are a multitude of studies that have shown that there are other communities that have a really strong focus around me and you are Muslims. I'm going to give you the money first, and I would expect you to give it to another Muslim business owner and another Muslim business owner and another one. To the point that there are communities where $1 never leaves, or I can give you a specific example, is it circulates 27 times. If we think about the Jewish community, and when $1 is created, how many times does it circulate amongst them? And this is not a bad thing.
I think the rule is at least 6, right?
The rule is at least 6 to have a strong community.
But it's actually 27?
For them, it's 27.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll give you another example. I saw a podcast with a rabbi, and I don't know if the host was Jewish. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But he said something that really, really resonated with me. He said, let's say you decide to open up a restaurant. Okay? You opened up a restaurant, and then you had your pre-opening with family and friends. Sam and I get invited, everybody around the table here gets invited. Everybody shows up. And we're taste testing your food, right? That's the whole concept. And we want to give you feedback. And let's say it's bad. And we tell you it's bad. Our mindset as a Muslim community is like, oh, he failed. I'm not coming back. I'm not even recommending it. Oh, no. The Jewish community will say, you know what? We can help you make it better.
MashaAllah. Wow.
Right? We're going to support you, whether maybe we'll bring in better chefs for you. Maybe we're gonna provide you better feedback. Maybe there's a better menu, pricing, all of these things. And we're going to lift you up so that you have a quality product that not only that we will support, but everyone else will. For us, it's like you have one chance only, and we're going to keep you down or pull you down if you don't make it perfect from day one. It's a completely different mindset of uplifting a community or keeping a community down.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So touching on what Dr. Mohamad said about we have a scarcity mindset and not an abundance mindset. How do we fix that? Is this a spiritual problem?
Oh, 100% it's a spiritual problem. So how can I put it? So scarcity comes from believing that we are the providers. But abundance comes when we realize that Allah is the provider. So we go from sort of like, it's like I have to get things done, to Allah will get it done through me. So at that point, what happens? Your world begins to expand instead of shrink. Because you put your trust in who? In Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that?
Go ahead.
I'll extend on that. The scarcity mindset is a mindset of fear.
Sorry.
We are afraid, right, that we might go poor. We are afraid that we won't have shelter. We are afraid that we might not have food. We are afraid that we can't be the providers, right, and take on that responsibility. And if you have tawakkul in Allah, there should be no fear. Right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let you go hungry? Why would He not give you shelter? Why would He not provide for you these bare necessities, these needs? And so I think if there's a shift of mindset with respect to, okay, I can't control everything. I am going to, right, have a work ethic. I'm going to do, right. I'm going to perform the best, like to the best of my ability, my duties as a Muslim. With tawakkul, what do you have to fear?
Yeah.
Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, just a quick story. He used to speak to, he had the mantiq of tayr, so he could speak to insects and birds. So there was this ant, and he noticed that the ant was eating wheat. So he asks the ant, he says, how many grains of wheat do you go through every year? So the ant goes, ant is super tiny, he goes 2. So Sulaiman goes, I got you, here's 2. And inshallah I'll be back next year and I'll give you another 2. Sulaiman alayhi salam, trying to play God. Astaghfirullah. So the ant goes, okay, deal. Sulaiman alayhi salam goes, disappears for a year, and a year from then comes back with 2 grains. Comes, and to his surprise, the ant has only consumed 1 grain. So he asks her, he says, I thought you said you consume 2 a year. So the ant says, when I was depending on Allah, yes, I would consume 2. But when now my dependence is on you, I was worried that you would forget me. So I ate 1.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Look at now. And that's the tawakkul of an ant.
Yeah.
What's our tawakkul like?
Yeah. The verse that's been playing in my mind a lot lately is Inna shaytana ya'idukum al-faqr.
Allah.
Wallahu ya'idukum maghfiratan wa rahmah.
Ahsant. That was mashallah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. Mashallah.
Did I know it in Arabic or did I say it?
No, the fact that it's a very powerful point, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what Sheikh Dr. Muhammad was saying, right?
Yeah.
What did he say? He said, it's based on fear.
Yeah.
And recite the ayah.
Yeah, that the devil promises you poverty and makes you afraid. Because actually, one of the things that Dr. Ali Hussein said that I thought was beautiful is that the devil's entire relationship with his own minions and with Allah is based off fear. The only relationship the devil has with Allah is fear. He has no love for Allah. And so he wants you to be afraid. He wants you to be anxious. He wants you to be afraid of poverty. And Allah actually promised you maghfiratan wa rahmah, which is interesting that maghfirah is brought up here because when Nuh tells his people to astaghfiru rabbakum innahu kana ghaffara yursil as-samaa alaykum midrar, like make istighfar to your Lord, verily he is all forgiving, he will send upon you abundance of rain. وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَأَوْلَادٍ, and he will give you from money and children.
بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ, yes.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, man. That's, yeah.
So I think that was interesting. But that's all the questions that I have for you guys, brother. Ousama, Dr. Muhammad, any final thoughts before we head off?
Maybe not just a final thought, but I want to ask you a question because, throughout this episode, there was some nervousness, maybe some shock as a response to our thoughts. How do you feel now?
I feel like I got to make some payments.
I love you, man. Allah, I love you for the sake of Allah.
But it's an actionable item.
Allah.
It's like, what is bringing me, right?
Yeah.
The most fear, or what is bringing me the most fear of restriction of barakah?
Allah.
Make the payment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Actionable.
Unlock, right? It's an unlock. That's the way.
Habibi, my last thought. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. Very simple. Whoever has taqwa, God consciousness, does the do's, avoids the don'ts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do what? يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. He will show him for every difficulty he's in, he'll show him a way out. وَيَرْزُقْهُ. He will provide from him from whence he doesn't expect. So this is it. Just your taqwa, your iman, get it straight, get it right. Put Allah first, and Allah will put you first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if we can take and have an active effort from an awareness perspective of what our role in this dunya is as Muslims, not just in terms of how we earn, but how we spend intentionally, we can create that circular Islamic financial economy.
MashaAllah.
We can create halal banks outside of the conventional banking system. We can create credit cards, all of these products and services that are of such a, like finance plays such a huge role in our lives today, more than they did, right? Hundreds of years ago. How can we ignore? And we have the playbook. The playbook's been around for over 1,400 years. Why are we not implementing the playbook?
Dr. Mohamad Sawwaf.
Habibi anta.
Brother Ousama Al-Shurafa, thank you guys so much for joining the Ansari podcast. It was honestly a pleasure to have both of you on.
The pleasure's ours,
all
wallahi.
ours.
Thank you for the invitation. It's
Thank you
very
for the
much
last
appreciated.
and for the last minute.
Absolutely, adjustments. Yes, barakallahu
Thank you for
feek.
your patience.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And thank you guys for listening to the Ansari podcast. I personally know the founders of Humanity. We've actually had one of them on the podcast. And what makes Humanity different is that they believe that this ummah is meant to carry each other, to build one another up. They don't focus on problems, but solutions. From solar-powered water systems, to direct zakat funds delivered to those who need it, to orphans given a chance to learn, grow, and live. Humanity is not your average nonprofit. They've removed the red tape. They've completely reimagined nonprofit organization. They've completely reimagined charity from the ground up with transparency, trust, and ihsan. Humanity is a registered US and Canadian charity with a 100% zakat fund policy. They work with trusted organizations like UN agencies to make sure that your charity goes into the right hands. But more than that, they're a movement, a global wave of believers who see suffering and say, I can do something about this. So if you believe in change, if you believe in this ummah, if you believe in humanity, this is your moment. Go to wearehumanity.org and give today and make your mark. Our vision is to create the next big media company that our generation deserves, but we need your help to get there. Join our 1,000 strong campaign, where we're looking for 1,000 members and supporters to help us become a fully independent media company. And when you become a member, you're not just getting a community, exclusive perks, and discounts on all of our products. You're helping build the ummah through media, art, and culture. Soft power that Israel understands so well that they spend $7,000 per social media post. But we're not asking for all of that. For just $9.99 a month, you'll be fueling every part of our studios, from hiring our team to keeping us independent to investing in our future, where we plan on competing with mainstream media. And it only takes a minute. Click the link below, choose your tier, and step into the Ansari-verse. Join us today and be a part of the new generation, writing the next chapter of our great civilization. Become an Ansari today.